Well, in New York City, nearly 2,000 school staffers are out of a job for not complying with the COVID vaccine mandate. According to the New York Post, the Department of Education has fired another 850 teachers and classroom aides after they failed to get the shot. That mandate was opposed by former Mayor Bill de Blasio last October. The DOE told the Post that teachers agreed to show proof of vaccination by September or be considered, quote, to have voluntarily resigned. So here now to talk more about this is Mr. Barry Black, the attorney representing those fired teachers. Barry, thanks so much for being with us. So how do these teachers who did end up losing their jobs react to the president saying the pandemic is over?
Well, we don't know about their individual reactions, but what we do know is that overall, we have been advocating for them now for over a year that this vaccine mandate, particularly with respect to those religious objectors, those who object on religious liberty grounds, there is no basis for enforcing this mandate against them when you have all sorts of people out there who are exempt from it, entertainers, artists, athletes. Half of New York City is finding exemptions, and yet, notwithstanding the fact that we have a First Amendment to this country which protects religious liberty, people who object on religious grounds can't get out of it. They must comply or they are fired. And so when the president announces that the pandemic is over, it's shocking. I mean, Nichole, if I may add, I'm here in New York, and occasionally I get on the subway during rush hour, and I've got 150 people squished into a little New York City subway car. Probably half of them may not be vaccinated. They may be sick. They may have live virus on them, and that's okay. But you can't have a teacher 12 feet away from any child, masked. Who knows how he or she may be protected, but that's no good. And even with the First Amendment protecting you, you still can't get an exemption. It's absolutely appalling.
Well, Barry, you know, with hindsight tending to be 20/20 here, and I know you may not be able to speak to each individual, but as a collective, do they feel it was worth losing their jobs at this point?
When people have faith, people of faith believe, and when you believe, you stick with your God and you stick with your beliefs, and you just can't change that. There are people who have lost their homes, they've lost their jobs, they've lost their tenure, they've lost their marriages. We've had people commit suicide, and the city continues to be defiant in the face of all of this when the rest of the world goes on as if there is virtually no pandemic left, and the city is arrogantly and in defiance of the Constitution, continuing to enforce this mandate against DOE employees.
You know, and Barry, we don't have much time left, but, you know, we were talking about a significant number of employees here. We know that this deadline was set almost a year ago at this point. What were the teachers, what were these staffers expecting once that deadline did, in fact, hit?
When they chose to go on leave without pay, rather than get fired on the spot, they likely did so because it was the lesser of two evils. Your choice was to either be fired and then lose everything, including your health insurance. But if you chose to go on leave without pay, while simultaneously giving up your right to sue, you at least maintained your health insurance. And many of the teachers have children, spouses, families to look out for. So very likely it was just a desperate lesser of two evils option for them. But it's terrible. And we have now the teacher's case, which is Kane v. de Blasio, and it's now been consolidated with a case called New Yorkers for Religious Liberty against the City of New York. It's now before the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, and we expect oral argument imminently on that, and we will fight for their rights.
Yeah, well, we know this is certainly not over. Attorney Barry Black, we thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.